Most people think cash is dead, but the reality is that around 14% of all payments are still made in physical cash. The problem is that for businesses, physical cash is a nightmare because it is extremely complex to handle and also because it creates what I call the dead money trap. However, every problem is also an opportunity to make money. So today, first I will explain to you the invisible problems the cash economy faces, and they are many, okay? And once we understand that, we'll talk about how I plan to profit from it. So first, let's understand the complex logistics of physical cash and the dead money trap. Now let's imagine the following scenario. Let's say you own a gas station chain. So you've had a great day and your registers show $130,000 in cash distributed across 8 different stores. Now the first problem is how to count the cash, right? Will you do it manually? Because a lot of mistakes can happen at this stage and a lot of bills can simply disappear, right? Now to solve that, you can simply use the Smart Safe, which makes everything much more secure. So basically, a Smart Safe automatically counts the bill and is fully automated with access controls. However, you also have an additional problem, which is the dead money trap. Now, what's that, right? Well, as we said, imagine your gas station chain made $130,000 today. The problem is that, for your bank, that money still doesn't exist. For that money to actually hit your account, you will have to keep all that cash locked in your safes and wait, sometimes for days, for an armored car to pick it up before the bank can process it. Only then you will see that money in your account. However, that means that during this entire period, the money you worked for is dead money. But why? Because it is sitting in a metal box, not earning interest and doing nothing for your cash flow. So that's the dead money trap. But how do I plan to profit from that? Well, by investing in a company that solves that problem, whose name I will soon reveal. But how does today's company help with the dead money trap? So, this company has created a software that works as a digital bridge between the Smart Safe in your store and your bank. Now, why is that important? Because with this software, when you deposit cash into your Smart Safe, the bank now receives real-time verified data of that transaction. And since the bank trusts this software so much, that allows the funds to hit your account. So though the cash might still be in your store, the money is already in your bank balance, ready to be used. So for instance, you can pay suppliers or even use that balance to access credit while the bills are still sitting in your safe. Now, for me, as an investor, this sounds like a goldmine. So that's how today's company helps to solve the dead money trap, and I will soon review its name. Now, before we continue, don't forget to hit the like button. But you see, the cash economy has many other problems, especially for the people moving the cash. For instance, imagine you run a fleet of armored trucks. Each truck is a fortress on wheels, with high fuel costs and a team of highly trained and armed guards. Every stop you make costs a lot of money. And the problem is that many armored car companies operate blindly. And that happens because without the right software, they simply don't know if a Smart Safe is 10% full or 90% full. That means that they might drive 50 miles, risk an ambush, burn expensive fuel just to pick up a half-empty cash bag. Now that's what I call a massive waste of resources. So that's the first problem armored truck companies face. On top of that, even today, many of these transactions are made on paper. That means that a guard signs a receipt, the merchant keeps a copy, and that paper travels in the truck. Now, what if a bill goes missing? Where did it happen? Was it the store guy? Was it the guard? Without a tracking platform, without a chain of custody, a missing bill can become a mess of phone calls and finger pointing. This is where this company's software turns the logistic nightmare into a high-tech operation. And I say that because since their software also connects the Smart Safe to the transport company, that means that the trucks can now move only when the safe is actually full, which means no more blind stops. Additionally, this software also helps cash transporting companies by creating a digital fingerprint every time the money changes hands. From the moment the bill enters the safe to the moment it arrives at the bank, there's a 100% transparent digital trail. So no more paper receipts, no more lost money. So as you can see, this company solves real and complex problems. And that's important because that's how you make money, by solving other people's problems. The bigger the problem, the more money you make. Now, after all, what's this company's name? This company is called Nemsys, and it is listed on the TSX Venture, ticker CTZ. And before I share with you my plan to profit more than 100% here, let's do a brief overview of this company. So Nemsys is a very small company with an enterprise value of only 20 million Canadian. And you see, there are basically three things I really like about them. First, Nemsys is a purely software company, with 100% of its revenues being recurring. Additionally, this is also an asset-light kind of business, easy to scale and also very sticky. And by the way, their churn rate stands at basically zero. And finally, the third aspect I like about Nemsys is that even though it is still a very small company, its financials are extremely healthy. As we see here, its revenues have been growing consistently at an average rate of 10.3% per year since 2020. Besides, this company also has excellent margins. For example, as we can see here, Nemsys has been delivering a gross margin in the 60% range and an operating margin of around 30 to 40%. Besides, on top of that, the company has also been consistently generating cash and doesn't hold any debt on its balance sheet. So, super clean numbers. Now, with that said, we finally arrived at the last part of today's video, which is about how I'm planning to profit from this business. You see, many people say investing is about buying excellent companies, profitable and growing businesses. But you see, if you buy an excellent business at an expensive price, you will likely lose money either way. So in reality, investing is much more about buying good assets at reasonable prices. In any case, here's what I'm planning to do with this stock. So as I said, investing is much more about buying good assets at reasonable prices. Now, as we've seen, Nemsys is certainly a good asset, is certainly a good company. The question now is it trading at a reasonable price? So here's my opinion. So according to my calculations, Nemsys is trading at an enterprise value to sales multiple of about 2.6 times. Now, is that expensive? Well, I don't think so. In fact, I think that's a reasonable multiple for a company with these kinds of margins. Actually, in exuberant market times, this stock could easily trade at much higher multiples than that. For instance, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nemsys trading at 10 times sales. In any case, with that said, does that mean I will buy Nemsys stock today? No, because even though Nemsys is indeed a good asset, is indeed a good company, trading at a reasonable price, the truth is that I also have other very good assets that are trading at cheaper valuations. So honestly, I don't feel compelled to buy Nemsys right now. I don't think it would be a bad investment in the long run, as we'll see. However, my strategy for now will be to simply wait and try to buy the stock at lower levels. This way, I will enter this position much more comfortably, and I will be also much more confident that I'm making a good deal. Also, if I buy this stock at lower levels, I will have a much larger margin of safety as well. So that's why my plan for now is to simply wait. Oh, but what if the stock skyrockets? Well, if that happens, what can I say, right? That's life. And well, you lost the train, right? But it's okay. There are other opportunities as well. Now, to close this video, what about the 100% return I mentioned before? And by the way, let's always recall that nothing in this video is investment advice, okay? Now, regarding the upside, I still think I can extract such a return from here. However, I think my chances of success will be greater if I simply wait a little. So here's how I'm thinking. You see, I really believe this company will continue growing and developing. And I think that in the long run, this stock should continue going up. So in other words, I think these highs here will eventually be left behind. Now, I don't feel that comfortable buying this company at an enterprise value to sales multiple of around 2.6 times. However, what if this company traded at a multiple of 1 times instead? well then, I would certainly feel compelled to buy the stock. I mean, at an enterprise value to sales multiple of just 1 times, that's a bargain, right? So yeah, at that kind of multiple, I don't think I would have a doubt whether to buy or not the stock. Now, do you know roughly how much Nemsys would have to drop to trade at those levels? Around 40% according to my calculations. So Nemsys stock would have to go back to around 70 cents. Now, I don't know if this stock will get there at these levels, but nothing stops me from placing a limit order here at the support area and just wait. In a certain way, this would be like fishing. If the bait gets bitten, great. Now at this price, at around 85 cents, I would be able to buy Nemsys stock at a multiple of around 1.5 times sales, which I believe is still a great deal. However, if I manage to catch Nemsys around these levels, at around 85 cents, well, if I believe these highs will eventually be surpassed, either because Nemsys will keep growing, but also because of multiple expansion. So if I believe that, then from 85 cents to the all-time high, well, that would already represent a return of 100%. So that's how I plan to profit from the bottlenecks in the physical cash supply chain. I plan to invest in a company that solves many of the problems in this sector. So that's how I plan to profit from the dead money trap and other problems the physical cash supply chain faces, by buying Nemsys stock. However, I don't plan to just buy this stock at any price at any time. I plan to buy it at levels that I have no doubt are cheap, levels where I genuinely feel comfortable. And then, well, my plan is to hold the stock for the long run as this company develops. Now, let's see if my plan works out. Now, if I'm not able to buy Nemsys because the stock went up, this other stock here is a strong buy candidate for me. And let's always recall that nothing in my videos is investment advice. Anyway, that's it for today, and see you next time.